Cracking. I've been listening to a little too much Mr. What is that? Mystery. Yeah. Hey, Don, let's get this shit cracking. Oh my God. Okay. We got volume. If you can hear us loud and clear, give us a thumbs up. All right, that's good right there. Let's go, baby. Yeah. Hoodstocks, baby. We back. Sunday evening. Lakers, baby. Yeah. Lakers. Shit. I think we might get ourselves a ring this year, baby. Let's go. Hit that subscribe. You know, when we get 1,000 likes on these videos, it really drives it into the universe, the algorithm, YouTube's algorithm. Feels good to be back, man. Feels really good to be back, man. I see my G's. I see you motherfuckers right there, baby. I miss you motherfuckers, man. I know you probably miss me a little bit. Tiny bit. Let's pay some bills real quick, man. Look at that shit just lit up, baby. I love you motherfuckers, dog. Real shit, man. Okay, let's go. Looking for some good quality cannabis. I mean, killer quality cannabis. Hit up the folks at Killa Kush. They specialize in bringing you the best quality available from OG to exotics. They got it all. Hit them up at Killa Kush, Cali@gmail.com, or on IG at Killa Kush __420, or you can pull up on them in the city of East Los. It's called East LA Exotics, baby. And they're located at 6009 East Olympic Boulevard. And also too, we are sponsored by Gutter Phenom. Gutter Phenom is a lifestyle brand that is dedicated to supporting and inspiring individuals who are determined to achieve their dreams. We believe that no matter where you come from and what you've been through, with hard work and dedication, anything is possible, baby. Yes, a portion of our proceeds are donated to organizations that provide vocational training for parolees and scholarships for those, and also for those in need of drug and alcohol treatment. Visit gutterphenom.com. Gutterphenom.com. You're gonna wake up in the morning and you're gonna fucking have a Tourette's moment and be like, gutterphenom.com. I gotta get on fucking the internet and place an order. And when I place that order, I'm gonna use Hoodstocks20 and I'm gonna receive 20% off my order. Amazing. Today's podcast is also brought to you by Apish OG, the big dog, all right? Follow them on Instagram at Apish_OG, and you can pull up and buy their product at OG Nation in the city of Maywood. Come get your flower, edibles, one-stop shop for all your needs, baby. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Like I said, man, welcome to Hoodstocks, a world where we are shaped around the people that surround us. This evening's guest, everybody, and I want everybody to give a warm welcome for the great and powerful Professor Dr. Bill Sanders.
Thank you. Lovely to be here with you guys.
Absolutely, brother. So I figured that we can start it off like this. So the people understand the individual that's sitting before them. How about you share your credentials?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a professor of criminal justice over at Cal State LA. My focus, research I focus on are really on, let's say, young people in crime. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you getting involved in drugs? Why are you getting involved in crime? Why are you getting involved in gangs? And then what are you doing within those things? So, like, what is crime all about? How do you do it? What is gang membership about? Like, what is it from dawn to dusk? What are you doing? And even kind of like, how do you get out of those things? So how do you get into them, what you're doing, and how do you get out of them in terms of crime, drugs, gangs, violence, that type of stuff. So in order to get there as a professor, I would say it's about 30 some odd year journey. So, I mean, we took more of the academic route. I did my undergraduate over at UC Riverside. And then I was lucky enough to go over to England to go do my graduate degrees. I did my master's over at Cambridge and then my doctorate over at University of London. All the while, what I'm doing is studying, drugs, studying gangs, studying why people do this. And the way through studying is first, it's like you're also hitting the library. You're really reading what has been come before you, right? So, and that helps you kind of couch what you're going to go find. So outside of doing the reading, my research is what's called qualitative. Like out of 100% of research within criminal justice, maybe 10% is the stuff I do. By which I mean you're doing interviews, you're doing observations, you're going out into the field, you are talking to people, sitting in front of them, for instance, drug users, gang members, and you're asking them, how did you get into this? What do you do? What are your future plans?
Okay. You could have been a plumber. Why did you choose this profession?
Well, in a nutshell, it's surfing. I don't wake up and think about gangs and drugs and crime and oh, how can I study this stuff more? No, I wake up and I look at the surf. So can I go today? So really, you take it back to 12 years old when I started. It's coming up on 39 years I've been surfing. I wanted to do that my whole life, right? And I wanted to get a job that allowed me to do that the whole time. So teaching is one thing that allowed me to. I was like, okay, well, you get the summers off, you get spring break, you get Christmas off. So all that time, I was thinking I was gonna, just go surfing, which I do, that and snowboarding. And I was so into the ocean, I was gonna be an oceanographer, studying the fish and how the waves are good. But then I got into high school and just wasn't good at science at all. So that was not my thing. And I grew up not in the hood. I grew up in a middle-class community, wanted for nothing, but there were, I would say, drugs still there. My entire life, just seeing people, family, friends using drugs, usually meth, but also weed, people falling out on that, and that would also just caught my interest. There were people also joined gangs in my community, people that I grew up with. They were these breakdancing crews in middle school that turned into these gang things. And I thought they were a bunch of wannabes, but they started shooting each other and fighting each other and just what the hell are you doing? So that was an interest of mine, seeing that in the community and just kind of making that just really, why are you doing that? And that is today the same kind of question that I ask and answer. Why are you doing these things?
Being a sociologist, isn't that the same thing as being a scientist?
It's social science, yeah. So it's not
science.
a hard, not like the physical or natural sciences. So, you look at gravity. Yeah, gravity's a theory, right? We can test that all day long, and it works, yeah? So that's a universal type of one. Social science is much less consistent like that, much less sure thing. So, yeah, very broadly applied with word theory there.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I have this random question that I wanted to ask you. I'm going to ask it right now. Do you have to be human to be a sociologist?
I mean, are you talking about the whole AI thing going on like that?
Exactly.
I wouldn't be in a position to answer that question, to be honest. I would be absolutely guessing, shooting from the hip. I know nothing about AI or the possibility that AI could potentially take over from some professors. I mean, I'd definitely say there's a few I wish AI would take over, but I wouldn't say that, be on the whole, so.
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, because AI is constantly analyzing in real time, bro.
I mean, again, this is a field that I know nothing about.
Absolutely.
So I just
Terminator.
I talk about, you know what I'm saying? I just don't know about this. Right, that's Skynet.
Yeah.
Robot from the Future, that was the movie. And then that dude became governor. And I'm like, what the? Anyways, that's another thing altogether, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's a whole different thing. And I apologize about that. But I thought it would be just a kind of a tricky question to ask you, and I guess you answered it correctly, right?
Let me put it this way. I'm retiring in 15 years, so just give it 15 more years, and then whatever happens after that, let the robot revolution happen, fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you said that, so you study criminals, you study social science, society, right? Why certain individuals grow up and end up doing these things. Well, it's probably potentially they're a product of their environment, right? They're mimicking what they've seen and what they've been through. I mean, does this fascinate you?
I mean, yeah, that's what I do. Yes.
Yeah,
and so
honestly, it does. Right.
I'm still very active in the field. I still publish. I still do research. I still work at some of these community-based organizations, that help people get out of gangs or out of drugs and they're reentering. Yeah, I still do that.
What helps them? What helps them get out of gangs and drugs?
That's a good question. those are two different things. So let's do the gang thing first. That might be a little bit easier. The drug thing is a bit trickier. Okay. So one of the things is that like we have a bit of a hypocrisy going on here with the criminal justice system. We say people are like, it's like don't do the crimes, can't do the time, right? And it's like, you have to pay your debt to society, right? But these dudes really and truly never end up paying. Like we never get them off the hook. They're always paying. We never think. We, as in like generally speaking here, say that they have like really paid their dues, that they are, good people now, that they are not going to continue to commit crime. I'll give you an example right here, yeah? Let's say some dude committed gang murder when he was like 17 years old. Yeah, 17, right? He did 25 years in prison, comes out, right? And I asked this to all my students. I said, this dude needs a job. Like, are you gonna let him watch your kids while you and the missus go out and watch a movie and have date night? No one is raising their hand. Not any one of my students are like, yeah, I trust that this guy who did murder when he was 17, 25 years, and now is out is reformed. To let it. Like I'm like, what do you think he's gonna do? Like sit there and murder your kids? Like kids, like you come back and they're like body parts all over and just like dripping in blood. I'm like, no, dude, it's like. It's and that might be a more of an extreme example, but it is, I think, reflective of society more generally, is that we do not believe that people are reformed. So one thing that needs to happen, I would say that I've suggested happen, is that kind of believe them, that you're an ex-gang member. Like, okay, we believe you, so your name is not whatever, Cadillac Dave or Glazed Donut or whatever the hell, your name is Dave, your mom is Maria, you live over here, it's just those types of things. So what I'm getting at here is kind of like to de-identify somebody as a gang member. So that comes from kind of the self, right? You are no longer Killer Joe, and also how people perceive them.
I mean, shouldn't you have a non-biased perspective if you are, or if you're putting one foot in front of the other to get into that field of work? You should have a non-bias, right? Like, because check it out. If I'm not sure how familiar you are with Hoodstocks, but a lot of our guests were 17-year-old murderers that got out from doing 20, 30 years, and they come on Hoodstocks and they share their story. I mean, you study social science, and the dude that was 17 years old is not the same dude at 45 years old. I mean, the brain is not developed. Yes. He has nothing underneath the belt. He potentially reacted by instinct of what he thought he was supposed to do, and it didn't dawn on him what he did until he ended up in front of the fucking judge, and now everything's just going 100 miles an hour through his head, Mm-hmm. So I mean, with that said, it's interesting that your class would be like, fuck that, but then again, who's sitting in your class,
Oh, well, yeah, okay. There's a lot of things you said there to unpack.
I'm sorry about that.
No.
Yeah.
It's quite all right. It's quite all right. But then to come also back to what you originally asked me is why people leave gangs. But really quick about my students, okay?
I'm all over the place, and I apologize.
No, it's cool. But like, it's absolutely cool. Okay, my students, like, they're your cousins. They're your brothers and your sisters. Like, my students are not like the university spoiled children. My students are from the hood. Most of them come from. They're the first in their families to go to college ever. They are. It's largely female. When I talk about gangs, my students are sitting there, yeah, that happened to my cousin, my uncle, my friend, my brother, my neighbors. No, they are, I hope they're watching this. Okay, so I'll come back to you. I don't believe I've ever watched a podcast or listened to a podcast. I heard of Hoodstocks from Casey. I think I looked it up before I came here. So I don't know who you guys are. But if you're telling me that you're there's individuals who yourselves and that you come on here who are former, like 17-year-old killers and or former gang members or people who have been in that life and are now leading a different life, yeah, those are individuals that I've been working with for many years. And I could, show you some organizations that might help those guys.
Absolutely.
So yeah. Now, really quick to come back. One of the things that we talked about is what people leave gangs, and so one aspect of that is identity. Okay, it is a change in who you think you are, and then also that kind of reflected in what other people say to you, right? So how they think of you. This is really kind of a sociological concept, calling what's called the looking glass self. We see ourselves as other people see us. Yeah. So if they keep on seeing us as the gangster instead of Mike or Bob or Maria or whatever, then we're going to continue to see ourselves that way, okay? The other thing that comes with that self-identity is that you've got to be changing what you're doing. Do you know what gang members do more than anything? Like anything else, number one activity of gang members in this city, other cities that I have talked to, that I've read about, and what seems to be pretty much what they do.
What is it?
Absolutely nothing. Hang out and do nothing. They're sitting there in some alley, they're kicking rocks, they're doing little dances, listening to oldies, listening to some other kind of music. I mean, just like smoking and drinking. Anyone that walks by gets their attention. I mean, are you kidding? The only thing boring in my mind is being a gang member is watching people be gang members. You're like, that's it? This is what happens. Punctuated by very quick bouts of deadly violence where just things bang, 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 and then it's like the people around you are dead and bleeding out, and you just got all of their body parts whooped all over you. It's gnarly. So, okay, now, that's actually how people get out of gangs. They're the dude that wasn't shot. They look around them and like, what the hell am I doing?
Well, let me stop you right there, bro, because that's a little disrespectful for cats that have changed their life and they're not just hanging in an alley doing a little dance, as you say, bro. Obviously, you need to do a little more research, and maybe instead of reading a book, maybe you need to put your feet on the streets and go hang out with these dudes opposed passing by and saying, oh shit, they're ready to shoot and kill me and I'm gonna have body parts all over me. There's just two different, I believe that is an inaccurate analyzation, because that's a small percentage. That's a small percentage, just because you might go to a market right now down the street from here and you see a dude tatted the fuck up and the first thing you're going to do is clutch your wallet in your pocket. No, that dude has fucking got a 40-hour union job and he's doing amazing and he's just there to buy some milk for his fucking kids, There's levels. There's levels of gang members. And there's
yes, that's true. I agree with that 100%. And really quickly, I really do not mean any disrespect. The things that I'm telling you are what gang members tell me, meaning that when I'm asking them, what
gang members are telling you this? Where are you getting these guys at? I mean, are you picking them up from Homeboy Industries? Do you have a Craigslist ad going on right there where you're saying, hey, check it out, dog, I'll give you $20 and a bag of hot Cheetos if you come sit down with me for a second? How are you finding these individuals?
Well, what you do is you go to organizations like that would be we call community-based organizations that work with young people that are in gangs or at risk with working in gangs or joining gangs, and then within those organizations are usually individuals who are like interventionists or former gang members, and they know who is in the gang in the community, and then they kind of just link them up that way to kind of sit down in the community center and talk to the guys about it. And you're just being really.
What community centers have you been in that you sat and talked to these individuals? What areas?
It has been over here in East LA, South LA, and West LA.
Okay.
So yeah, and really and truly, I'm not offended.
I'm not offended. I'm just saying, like, for the ones that was a shallow analyzation of what a gang member is. That was the white people sitting at the fucking table making fun of the dude over there with this chick that's got tattoos that is drinking water and can only afford bread at that restaurant. I mean, I don't know, bro. That just sounds a little fucked up, bro.
And again, that's not what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm telling. Everything that here is not my opinion. It's based on the
research,
data, right? What data is coming, yes, and what's coming out, and everything that I just told you as well. I could set that within things that have been studied before me and things that have studied after me. So, and also too, the just to kind of perhaps bring it back to what I originally was asked about why people get out of gangs.
Yeah.
Outside of identity, it is, and this is what I meant about hanging out and doing nothing. Really and truly, let's say that there's some guys that do that.
They're patrolling the block. It doesn't look like they're doing anything, but they're selling drugs. They're making sure the right people are navigating through these streets. I mean, it's a job, bro. It's a whole different job. And there's a long resume of what that consists of besides just doing a little dance and ready to react off any little thing that the dude might fucking potentially say, bro. It's a long list. And I don't even think that you really understand that.
I'm not going to argue with on that point. But to move on, this is what my point is. What I'm trying to get at is this: is that whatever you're doing as a gang member, you've got to do something different. And so it's.
And I understand that, and that's what we do right here.
No, right.
And I don't condone the nonsense, brother. Don't get that twisted. I'm not backing up the dudes that don't do nothing. We are here to promote hope for the cats that want to do something.
It's not what I feel. It's not what I'm saying.
No, it's the data that you're getting. But that sounds a little inaccurate.
But this is what I'm telling you. Okay, Again, I'm not a gang member. I have never been a gang member.
I can tell.
I have read about them and I've studied, and this is what comes across.
You're a surfer, bro.
That's right, a surfer, snowboarder, 100%.
Yeah.
That has been asked to come on this show and give my opinion
100%.
about my work.
This is what we do, baby.
And that's what's up. Okay, so I have no agenda.
No, 100%. I'm not trying to attack you, bro. But
okay, then.
Okay.
Let's kind of put it.
We'll mellow it down.
Let's bring it there.
Let's bring it down. Okay, let's go.
So this is what overall I'm trying to say is that whatever you're doing as a gang member, in order to kind of successfully get out of it, it's doing something different. So both of these things go hand in glove. It is changing your self-conceptualization. Who do you think you are, and how? And meaning like how you see yourself, and how people see you, but also what you are doing 9 to 5. And let me give you an example, okay?
And that could transpire over to how you feel about yourself and what you're doing 9 to 5, right?
Both of these things are interrelated, 100%. So, you know, if somebody is out there at a job and they are considered themselves now, I am an employee, I'm a plumber, I'm an electrician, I'm a construction worker, I'm a social worker, I'm whatever. It's coming off with a new type of identity. Also, is that they're doing something else. They're busy from 9 to 5. When you're doing that 9 to 5, it's hard to kind of do other things.
Yeah.
Right? So that's really
the first step in the right direction of getting yourself a fucking job. Bro.
Right.
Keep yourself busy with something positive than fucking handling the block and doing that little dumb dance with a bag of hot Cheetos.
I really think that I wish I could not say that because there's too much drawn over there and it's causing. Yeah, it's not like.
I won't bring it up again. I'll leave it alone.
Well, if you don't mind.
Yes.
And again, too. So it is what it's. It's like. Again, to get at what you initially asked me is how they get out of gangs, and that has now been answered. Now, you also wanted to ask me about getting out of drugs. Do you want me to go into that, or are there other things would you like to talk about?
I don't know. As long as the drugs consist of doing a little. No, go ahead, bro. Yeah, please talk on whatever you want to talk about. Educate us, bro.
Okay, because that's again, if I'm trying to do anything, it's that. All right, you get what I'm saying? It's like, hey.
But if you got some inaccurate information, I gotta put that forward. But this isn't a Dr. Phil show, bro.
But that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You're saying that I am inaccurate, and I'm going like, okay, dude. Like maybe that is inaccurate from your experiences, or your experiences, or your experiences, and those are all valuable. What I'm doing is talking to hundreds of people across various gangs over time, and these general types of questions. That's what's going on.
I might be giving you a little bit of a hard time.
He is. No. But it's like I get that too.
I might be giving you a little hard time.
I get what's going on here as well. I mean,
that's not. But I have no agenda, bro.
No. I know you don't. I mean, yes, No agenda. Okay, so let's kind of work on the drug thing too, if you want to hear about this, right? Because this is what I would say is, I tell my students, I'm like, my God, if you want to get on like the tip of the spear in terms of what thing is problematic in the field, do something about like desistance, like how people get out of gangs or get out of, re-enter into society or out of crime, but also what we do about drugs. You're not going to like what I'm going to say. You know what I'm saying? You're just not going to like this at all. No one's going to like this stuff because it kind of might go against what they think is right and real.
Well, let's hear it, and we'll determine if we like it or not.
Okay, good. Okay, just keep that in mind, okay? It's like I work in the field where people don't like what I do. It's like, all right, yeah, you study something that, is what might be the underbelly of society, and you're trying to get that right. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to talk to the top side. Hey, this is what's up.
But while standing on a surfboard, that's tough.
Dude. While accurately, it's fine, man.
It's fine. No more jabs. No more jabs.
Okay, no more. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Cool. I'll tell you what, I'm good with my life. I'm happy with things on, and I wouldn't change a damn thing.
Absolutely, brother. Bro, do you think I want to see you on the streets fucking waving around a gun and a bag of hot Cheetos in your hand? Fuck no, bro.
The last thing I think
I love that you do what you do.
The last thing I thought was that, too.
Yeah,
the last
absolutely.
thing.
Let's go.
I mean, I imagine I'm not your typical your audience member. Yeah, normally, don't you have guys kind of more like with
we have criminal defense attorneys. We have Lakers come on here.
Okay, there we go. Okay,
we have cats that that are all different levels, bro.
Tough job, criminal defense attorney, man. That is a tough job. I knew dudes, they were losing their teeth, not just their hair, just coming in, those guys. God bless the criminal defense attorneys. The public defenders in particular. So anyways, yeah, so what we do with drugs, a lot of things we do is just tell people to pray their way out of the situation. You know, drug abuse is like drug addiction is what I'm talking about, not a drug use. There's a lot of people who use drugs and it's fine, you know, they're not like that. It's not problematic. They're going to work, they're doing their thing, but there's some people that like fall out and it is problematic. So problematic drug use and how do you get out of that? Some of the most popular programs are really what you call faith-based. By which means you're pretty much praying your way out of the situation. Like,
and to me, that's pathetic, bro.
Oh yeah, no, it is. You are 100% correct.
That's pathetic, bro.
And that is
because you have no fucking self-will. You have to lean on something else bigger. I mean, come on, there should be nothing bigger than yourself.
Well, that's
because.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, absolutely.
That's what the kind of the centerpiece of a lot of faith-based programs are the extent that you have to admit that you have to admit to a higher power that you are incapable of doing that. And it's like that higher power is not like your dad or your principal, you know, it's like talking about God. And so a lot of programs that we see in the community that are free are faith-based, and a lot of those programs have horrible success rates. So that's where the patheticness comes in, is like, for instance, if 100 people start on January 1st, by December 31st, like the end of the year, there might be like 2.5 people left in some programs. That's not success rate. That's a 1-year annual completion rate. Completion rates for these things kind of hover between like 0 to 2.5%. You see these billboards, you know, like, you know, some kids hooked on meth, like 10, 20 large gets them off of that. Those programs maybe 1 in 10, maybe a 10% chance of kind of working. They are more like kind of have issues, or not issues, kind of looking at it from a more holistic approach as opposed to just praying. But still, they're also very cagey about letting you know about their success rates. Have you heard of like the matrix model over at UCLA's substance abuse program, the integrated substance abuse program there?
No, tell us about it.
Well, yeah, no, this is what I'm getting at. This is the point. You've not heard of that, but you've heard of like Alcoholics Anonymous or Marijuana Anonymous. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. A lot of people know about programs that are ineffective, that do not work, but we're unaware of programs that do work. That's the point, what I'm getting at.
Why is that?
Good question. You know, there's a lot of programs that we have that, like, whether to prevent people from doing things like gangs or drugs, that are 100% anti-theoretical. Like, they're not anti-theoretical. They are atheoretical, meaning they're not based on any types of theory. They're not based on any kind of science. It's simply a couple of guys got together and said, "Hey, isn't this a good idea?" So, for instance, from about 40 years or so, the prevention programs that we have, whether it's for drugs or gangs or even violence, really consists of 3 words, right? Pretty much. You guys want to know? You guys guess those words? No. You know what those are? Like, just say no, or just something, just don't do it. I mean, that is, in a lot of ways, like, that's what we say to, you know, the DARE program.
I mean, it was a good campaign. They made a lot of money off that, bro.
Well, I mean, but that's just it. It was ineffective. It did not do anything. I mean, it's like, is that the best that we got? Just say no. And so, I mean,
I mean, do we really want to solve addiction? Do we want to solve homelessness? Because if we did do that, then how many people would be out of a fucking job, bro?
Well, I don't have the answers to that one. So, but
I'm just saying, in general, across the board, I think it applies.
Oh yeah, no, good question. I mean, the addiction field is huge. Again, a lot of the reason why it is so cagey about these kind of success rates is to keep that kind of money machine going.
I mean, get off drugs and come get on this pharmaceutical right here.
I'd love to see more truth in advertising. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like something like, you know, hooked on meth, you know, 20 large gives you a 1 in 10 chance of getting off. You know, that's about right. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's not what we do. I'm not too sure how much the Matrix program is, but a lot of these things are expensive.
What does it consist of? What does a Matrix program consist of?
That is, you know, I'm not professional enough or adept at it enough to kind of be accurate. It's what I would say. It's much more of a holistic program, looking at drug abuse from a variety of sides, looking at it kind of from a kind of neurological kind of chemical dependence, but also kind of a social and cultural aspects. Again, I do not know the various components about it, but I do know more about it in terms of just overall effectiveness. Again, so looking at, faith-based programs versus kind of those run by like so-called treatment centers where they take the kids out and, you know, do some wilderness camp versus things like I mentioned, the Matrix model over at ISAP. So again, it's not exactly how those programs work, but really what is the end result? How do they work or not? So, and this is kind of like you're getting to know these just because, in the sense, if anybody asks you, which does happen to me, like in a sense, not as a professor, almost a practitioner, where would we go? Where would you recommend if somebody was on these drugs to kind of, if they had the money or not, or, you know, to get help? So yeah, does that make sense? I know what kind of works. I don't know exactly the various components of those programs.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're just looking at the outcomes.
I think individuals, and it depends on what drug they're on, because different drugs do different things to you. I mean, if you're sticking a needle in your arm from heroin, man, that's just I think the success rate of people overcoming that addiction is far less than maybe methamphetamine, right? But I'm just saying, I'm saying that to say this, bro. I think really there's so many layers in individuals that are gang members or drug addicts of why they, took that road, took that path. There's so many layers, and you really, I think to get these people reformed it's going to take a lot of work from multiple professionals to dig deep and have them unpack, let loose. Then you got to show them a different life and show them, hey, bro, you are worthy. Show them a different life. Like, you can't. I used to always trip out on dudes, bro. They would have these tough love programs where dudes would come to gang members and be like, you want to die? You want your, bop, bop, this, that, bop, and they're in these dudes' faces. And I was there, man. And I've seen it up close, and I would laugh in my head because these young kids would be just like, man, they'd have a little sideways grin on their face, and they'd just be like, it's 100% fuck you, and that scared straight tactic is stupid. I mean, pick them up and take them somewhere, show them a better life, and after they start experiencing more and more of that, then maybe they're gonna want some of that and find a way to get to that. Opposed to someone screaming in their fucking face about where they're going to potentially end in prison or a grave, But, that's a little. I just wanted to throw that out there, bro. That's kind of my.
You're correct. Again, like I said, I could tell you about the outcomes of programs, and those things are the scared straight, the boot camps, those types of things, that get tough, they are not only ineffective, they are counter-effective, meaning that people come out of there more criminally involved than they went in. So yeah, no, 100%. One thing you did mention that is important too, in terms of, at least that I have found, again, in my work, is that, and that sits also with other research, is that when people get out of the gangs, one thing that helps them is seeing beyond the hood. So, I mean, and what I mean by that is kind of, gang members live this life from what they're telling me. Okay, I'm not, what I'm saying? This is what
relax,
they're saying.
Lucky,
This is
relax.
not, yeah, right. So,
relax,
Meg shows right now. Don't crack that egg, sir. No, go ahead, brother. Do what you do.
Like talking
but
to
I
them.
got to give a little pushback once in a while if I
Please.
feel need to, but that is not my agenda to do that.
No. I understand that because it might not be related to your experience or the other dude's experience. But that's, again, I don't have a personal experience living that life that I can talk about.
Would
or
that be
refute
the
it.
best way for a sociologist or anybody in that field is to get, bro, put your bandana on your head, homie, and jump on that car, bro, and go really experience this shit. See what's really going on. But that takes nuts, and that's risky, bro.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna go. Okay, so number one, there are people in my position that were former gang members, meaning they're professors, 100%. Okay, and we don't have to.
Yeah, shout out to them dudes. And shout out to you too. So.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But you remember what I said about drugs earlier, about the objectivity thing? Yeah. So damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
I think that also might apply to gang members, especially when it comes, again, I'm saying it could. I'm saying perhaps it does. But I also think that there is an authenticity in something you see in the social sciences more generally, where people were part of a culture or part of some part of society and then ended up studying that part of society, 100%. So to kind of pull back though, what I wanted to mention about how people get out of gangs, one thing that helps is this idea that I'm seeing beyond the hood. So there is even an intervention program here that works. It's called Bus to the Beach. It takes kids who live off of Western on the 10. You know, say the beach is not that far, but they've never been. And you're like, wait a minute, you're born and raised in Southern California. And you've never been to Santa Monica Beach, and they haven't. And it's a lot. Sometimes that can do with fear. They fear going out of the community because if something could happen there.
It's their comfort zone. Yeah.
Right. And so it is this, and even kind of talking to, part of my research, guys would say, I've never been over here. I've never been over there. And even when it was an adjacent area, and again, it's this idea of living in an area of fear due to violence where if you step out of certain areas, things really could happen to you. So one of the things that has helped with people who have leaving gangs is this idea of seeing beyond the hood, seeing kind of a life beyond that, so to speak. So yeah, that's absolutely valuable.
Yeah, 1,000%. And, these individuals, maybe once upon a time ago it was me, in Highland Park, never going to a Dodger game, but always seeing the blimp in the air, right? The Goodyear blimp. We know what we know, and some individuals are just raised in this environment, you know, that is basically gonna, like, their parents aren't teaching them anything different, you know. So if you have people that were feeding you at one point in time and have never not teaching you anything different, then how are you gonna know? And it just it sucks, bro. Better lack of words, bro. It sucks, you know, and it's not gonna change unless, you know, these individuals are their families. They change in the next generation for their people, right? Their kids.
Oh yeah. It seems now, if I'm not mistaken, you're getting on why people join gangs. Yeah, would you like me to talk on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, that's
okay.
where we're at.
And just to be straight up about this, okay? Again, all based on research, talking to people, asking them, why did you do this? Tell me about your life. Tell me about your family, the environment that you grew up in, okay? Yeah, please. Refusal tends to offend.
Yes.
Now, let me tell you, this is what I've said this in court, it's published it in a book, this seems to what's coming up, all right? Is that the individuals who join gangs, their lives, what goes on in their lives prior to doing that, it's just so horrible, whereby gang membership becomes the best option in a series of horrible options. And if that's gonna happen, if you're gonna join a gang and all of a sudden now, you are a target for deadly violence. That's gotta be a pretty kind of something, you know, some serious fear. Thank you very much. Like serious kind of childhood, right? That's what we're talking about. This is a childhood.
Well, they're looking for love, bro.
This is what I'm saying. Like, and that is like, what is going, like how tragic must your home life be where this is going on? How tragic must it be in your community where this is acceptable? How tragic must it be that like, you're like, this is just part of like life.
It's fucking horrible, bro.
Right, and that's what I'm getting at. And so there's a lot of myths about there that people are in a sense running to gangs, right? As opposed to running from something. And, you know, or that it's just this non-stop type of party, you know, or just fantastic life. And I'm like, man, you know, the smartest thing you can do to survive in this world is get out of that gang. And so you get what I'm saying? Like, how the conditions that have shaped individuals to get in there must be horrific.
Well, they felt like nothing, bro. They felt like nothing. Mm-hmm. They felt like nothing, and they got accepted by people other than their family. They gave them love, bro, they were looking for, and it felt good, bro. And so you understand what it is to be around these type of individuals. And so you know what you got to do to get some of that love that feels so good, you know? And this is what these individuals do. This is what I did, you know? And you're somebody, bro. You're somebody. Yeah, you might be somebody on this 2-block radius or this fucking shitty ass alley, but to the ones that hang out in that alley or are raised in that alley, it's the best alley in the fucking world, bro. This fucking alley is the fucking shit, and we have tons of good memories that happened in this alley as well as bad ones, you know? But it's just, at the end of the day, it comes to acceptance. It comes to kids that didn't have the proper guidance in life, you know, for whatever. Their parents dropped the ball. You know, if their parents before that dropped the ball, I mean, it's just a fucking domino effect, you know? But this is people in this lower playing field than the fucking big universe, right, of just people doing amazing things, right? I mean, but I guess there's a definition of amazing things on just different levels. They're doing amazing things in this alley. They're doing amazing things over here changing the fucking world. I mean, it's yeah, I get it, bro. And it may be hard for somebody not to get it that has never been there or experienced any of those type of shortcomings, you know, that was put on their plate in life, bro. They were raised with that, and they said, all right, this is what I got to work with, you know. But there's people that are smarter than that. Like you said, you have kids that have uncles and this and that, you know, that were a part of that. Well, they're the small percentage that were smart enough to say, hey, I'm not doing that shit. Fuck that, you know. And they change their ways, and they learn from their family members, their neighbor, you know, and they do different. But that's a small percentage, though, because that's not very popular in the hood to do.
That's a good question. What percentage of guys actually leave the gang? I don't know, but I would say this. It is a lot of people end up leaving the gang, and it's not a lot of like ceremony, you know? There's not a lot of like raising balloons or throwing out doves, you know, or just not, you know what I'm saying, like fanfare. They just drift away slowly. Again, this is not my opinion, experience is what they're saying. What happens too is like what happens to people naturally, right? As we kind of age, you know, we kind of take on more adult responsibilities. You know, one thing we do is we fall in love and we have kids. You know, sometimes we take that really seriously. Yeah. So like, what do you want to do tonight? You want to hang out with the homies and smoke some sherm, or do you want to get some love tonight over there? It's like, hey, I know what I'm doing. You following me here? And then it's like, hey, I want to keep that love going. She wants me to get a job. I'm going to go get a job.
So you're telling me right now that you've never had sex on sherm? Because it is a fucking amazing, sir. Have you ever fucked on space? That's what it is like being on sherm, bro.
Let me just say this. I have never taken sherm at all. So we're just going to move right on there because it's, I mean, maybe what is this? I could smoke.
You're at Hoodstock, sir.
Maybe
never say never.
Well, then let's do this then. Let's just say I could smoke sherm with the homies, or I could go smoke sherm with her. Okay, so how does that sound? Yeah. So you get what I'm saying? Maybe he's gonna go. I'm gonna go smoke sherm with her, and have sex in space because I'm not having sex in space with them dudes. Okay.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
I mean, you know, or maybe, you know, I mean, maybe that's the thing. So, okay, so again, you know, it's this idea of really, you know, getting out of things because you're taking on more adult responsibilities and more adult interests, right? And so again, you're with your girl, you have a kid, and then you have a job. It's like, when are you gang banging? And again, it's just what happens is it's not just one individual doing that. It's all the individuals who came up together. They grew up together, they joined the gang together, and they're all at the same time, they're falling in love, they're having kids, they're getting jobs, and it's like as a group, in a sense, they also peel out of the gang because that's really what's really powerful. And some of these gangs have hundreds or thousands of members, but it's really kind of powerful. There's like small cliques, those guys who grew up and knew one another. So those are where those ties to the gangs are strongest. So if everyone in that same clique is peeling out at the same time, falling in love, having kids, getting jobs, yeah, the strength of them getting out of the gang is stronger.
100%, bro. 100%. I mean, you're being a good example amongst the individuals, I mean, you once ran with on the streets, and people see, they're like, man, if Lucky can do it, shit, I can do it. I can go to school for 5 years. I can do this. I can do that. And so, yeah, and that's one thing that I do right here, brother, Dr. Bill Sanders, is I promote hope, brother. I don't condone the stupid violent shit, bro. But you know what? At the end of the day, that's trickled down from politics in the big world. You know, violence is everywhere. Violence makes the world go round in all levels. It's never going away. Violence is never going away. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, dude. No, that's not like, you know, we're always gonna have to breathe air. I mean, you're not saying anything profound. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not acting like I'm saying profound, but I'm just saying, like, it's all the way down, bro. It's gonna forever happen.
There's there's no such thing as a perfect. Now he's shooting his shots. No such thing as a perfect society. No, all of that crime is always going to be here, and violence is always going to be here. Yeah, but if you want to talk about gang violence in LA, that's not everywhere. It's very, very particular here.
Let's talk about it. Your research.
Okay, it's not just my work. It's beyond my work. And I don't know. I haven't seen the data on this in several years, but for many, many years, like decades, like every other homicide in LA was called gang related, which means it was just essentially done by a gang member. And so you don't have that. Like Chicago would be the only city what would have that type of percentage. And so gang violence is very, very particular over here in LA. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys something right now. Okay, I'm gonna show you about violence. Okay, now I want you to do this for me. You out there and whatever, listening to this stuff, you do the same thing in your mind. The first thing that comes to your head when I say this, okay? You guys ready? You guys ready over here? Ready over here? Okay, here goes. Ready? Someone hits you, what do you do? Oh my God, that's right. Isn't that right? You just hit them back, don't you? Right? Yeah, you're going to prison. See you later, sir. Okay.
Nah,
you want to shoot them?
Check it out. You're promoting weakness, bro.
Okay.
Check it out.
Okay.
You're promoting a soft individual that's gonna back down and take the fucking when the world shovels shit on you, you're gonna fucking take it and say thank you. Nah, bro, you shovel shit right back on them, bro.
And that's why we have 50% of the murders.
My first answer wasn't hit him back.
Of course not. Look at you.
But that's I know. But you okay. If you
fucking tongue kiss him
really quickly,
hickey on the neck.
I'm not promoting anything.
No.
Okay? I told you I'm doing a little test here. We're talking about. I don't want to talk about my family.
Okay, well, check it out. I have kids, bro, and I'm not worried of talking about my family, bro. Okay, and so. Sometimes when you have kids, if you do or not, you don't want to talk about it. I respect it. It's all good, bro. We're here for your science and your research, not your personal life. Okay, and I respect that. But it's like this. Okay. So if I have girls and a boy punches my daughter, what am I supposed to tell my daughter?
You asked me about the culture of violence here in LA, and I'm telling you about that. Okay. So this is something wonderful. All of that stuff. Know what you think. I'm telling you that, notwithstanding. Okay. Here's the food for thought, and I don't want to jump off on this. Okay, is that do you think maybe that we can kind of develop masculinity in a young man without violent prowess? Have you ever seen kind of what it's like to take
to
take one on the chin and not punch back? That's difficult, dude. Okay, now and again,
well, life will give that to you without an actual physical.
And I tell you what, that happens enough times, people are gonna stop punching you. Now, I tell you what, you keep on punching, it's gonna go over and over and over again.
Check it out. If I didn't stop punching, I wouldn't be here today.
The culture, and then
if I didn't stop punching back, I wouldn't be here today in the environment that I was raised in. Now, if you're raised in an environment where you ain't gotta punch back and you can still survive, well, fucking congratulations, salute to you.
I know.
Thank you.
Just go.
Is that you?
It's worked very well for me.
Okay. And it's worked well for him.
No, right. But the thing is that is a continuation of something that it's hard to escape. That is why, this whole disrespect. What did you say? It's what we could gather by just letting it go. Does that really mean we're a pussy? Does that really mean we're gonna? I'm not. Those are rhetorical questions. Those are rhetorical questions.
You analyze all situations, and not every situation is a punchback situation. Mm-hmm. You analyze the particular moment in time of what exactly is transpiring, bro, and you decide.
But that's
should I punch back or should I let this go and ba.
That's the magic of the question.
That's
the magic of the question.
Let me tell you.
You don't know the situation.
Let me tell you where I was taking this. Okay, so what it is that within LA, you do have a particular culture, like a gang culture of violence. It's kind of like a hair trigger like that. Yeah. So it's not only somebody. You don't even have to hit you. They can look at you wrong, or maybe maybe they're trying to trap you. You guys know what that trap is? What you looking at? That's a total trap. There is no way. The only way to get out of that one is turn around and run. Just
No, you're wrong.
Okay,
I'm looking at a handsome motherfucker.
What I'm saying here
have a good day, sir.
Trap you into getting
you're dumbing down gang members too hard, bro. You're saying they're total idiots, bro. They only have one way to react to something. That's bullshit, bro.
That's not about gang members.
You tell me that at this point in time, I'm looking at a handsome motherfucker right now, dog. Shit. Have a good day.
You could deflect it, yes.
Deflection, the art of deflection, sir.
That's it's again.
Big
it's
sexy.
what
I heard all about you.
What I'm talking about here is why we have a particular culture of violence. Because earlier you were saying violence is everywhere, and I'm agreeing with that. But if we're talking about gang violence, we're talking about Los Angeles. There is a very particular culture here.
100%.
The violence here in LA drives the entire violence rate of California, and the reason of that is what I'm trying to mention here. This particular culture. Am I saying I'm not trying to dumb anyone down? But it's again, you don't have to necessarily disrespect somebody to get that. It's kind of like maybe actively sought out to kind of test some type of prowess, to kind of prove that you're not someone to be messed with. And again, what I'm getting at here is if that is the case, that traps people in that lifestyle.
Agree.
That's what and again, that's what we're talking, I believe, about. So. That has been fairly consistent, that culture here in LA for quite some time.
Don't let him get to you. Don't let him get to you.
It's not necessarily getting to me. It's like, what are we doing here? If it's gonna be like, that's bullshit, dude. That's not my experience.
We're not having. I'm not trying to have a combatant conversation, but being the fact that you're talking about something that you've done research on, and I've fucking lived it, fucking hand and fucking foot. You know, bro, am I not supposed to give you a little pushback or give you my opinion back on stuff?
You don't think you've been combative. I have said I have said several things that are my research, and you're like, that's bullshit.
Well, your research is bad, bro.
Okay,
well, it's like, but it's
then fine.
But
okay.
it's of
this is like depending on Surrey for everything.
But that's like Siri questioned every single person, and that's the answer for every single person based on data. Though it's not if we interviewed 100 Luckies and this is based off 100 Luckies, and
there's different generations too,
dude. I mean,
there's different generations you do research on too.
That whole thing that I told you about, what the number one thing gang members do is this generation and the previous one, going back to the 70s. And again, if it doesn't fit with your personal experience, I get that. That's not what I'm here to do, is sit there and knock anyone's personal experience or question what y'all did. I'm going like, hey, what do you find in your work, Bill? What did they tell you? And that's what I'm telling you. And you're going like, that's bullshit. And I'm like, okay.
You know what? At the end of the podcast, I might share with you the research I've done on surfers.
Dude, I don't give it. The thing is like when I ask you for it, then sure, I'm not asking you for that. You came here to ask me to do this.
Let's do it, baby. Let's do it. Like, relax, simmer down. Look, simmer down. Take a step back.
You know,
relax. I'm not trying to get you too riled up, sir. You know what I mean? And so you've gone to court and you sat on.
Someone said Jerry. R.I.P.
R.I.P. to Jerry, baby.
I know, man.
I love that dude. Grew up on that dude.
Hey, but really quick, no one's asking about Steve. I mean, how is that guy?
Right?
I mean, come on.
Right? I think you can almost pass for Steve.
Look, dude, let's not turn this into Jerry, all right? let's or Richard Bay or all of the, right. So
Casey told me you were over the phone, you were very energetic, fun conversation on the phone. So
sorry to let you down.
No, and you are, sir. You are, sir. No, you are, sir. And I apologize, brother, if I'm coming across as too combatant, and I apologize about that, bro. Let's just move forward on this conversation of having you on here to share your experiences, your research. So you've gone to court. I mean,
yes,
you've been asked to be an expert in certain situations in regards to maybe someone fighting a murder or something?
Yeah, can y'all believe that? I'm an expert on gangs in the courts of Los Angeles. Go figure, yeah? For 12 years I've been doing that. Yes, sir. So, I'm sorry, so what do I do on these things? So there's a law in California. It's California Penal Code 18622. It's if a crime is committed like for the benefit of, in association with, or the direction of a gang member, then you get what's called gang enhancements. Now, what that'll do is slap an additional kind of several years on you depending on what the offense was, right?
Yes, sir.
So the cases that I work on, it's not that the dude didn't do it. And let me just kind of tell you that right there, that never happens. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's, in my experience, okay, it's never the wrong dude. It's like, oh, no, it's some dude with one arm. You need to go get him. Like, no, it's your ass. It's like why they did it. That's what's going on. So a lot of times, like one gang member will shoot another gang member, but the reason has nothing to do with the gang. It's usually there might be some girl involved, and they're screwing this girl, and they're like, "That's what's up," And they're like, "That happens all the damn time, like all the time."
That is correct research, sir.
Lucky could agree to that one.
Thank you.
No, 100%, bro. No, half the shit that happens, bro, is over a fucking female. But that's just not in gangs, bro.
They said an hour in, finally. An hour in. Sorry.
So yeah, I mean, things like that, or, it's just, even if it's, what are some other things? Like that happens a lot, or, they're selling drugs. That's another thing. So they're selling drugs, but they're doing it for the gang. And I'm like, no, they're not. The dude got caught with like a quarter of meth? You think that's going to really kind of make some big old... it's like, yeah, here you go. I'm gonna dish this stuff out. I'm like, I doubt it. This is what I'm saying. So this is just it. So they'll do a robbery. Okay, like, I mean, like, and again, like, I think that either the prosecution or the jury or maybe just people in general think like, I know, some gold chain that's gonna get $1,000 from it. I'm like, no, dude, look, there's 10 cents on the dollar on the streets. Gold chain's $1,000. That dude snakes that's maybe worth $100 if he knows where to get it. And so what is he gonna do? Take that $100 and divvy it up to 1,000 numbers on a gang? Here's like 50 cents each. This is what we're supposed to do. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, a robbery is a crazy like.
There you go. You right on that shit.
Well, that's two. That's
like
I'm on two. That's two. What am I, 2 for 5?
You know what, bro?
Something?
I'd like to be a fly on the wall while he's talking to his colleagues freely, and I'm gonna be on a fly on the wall with a fucking big old blunt in my motherfucking mouth, and this fly is just gonna be having a good time. Go ahead, sir.
We might smell the blunt, dude.
It's a weird fly.
Be like, let's get the hell out of here, right? Okay, so or what else happens?
So no, hold on a second. So when they ask you to go to, you spoke on a very, I'll say vaguely, and I don't know how much you can talk about this, because there's probably a certain confidentiality in regards to cases, but we don't have to talk about no particular cases, naming any names.
Oh yeah, you don't have to worry about that, dude. We ain't talking about shit like that. But yeah, continue, please.
There's not like I cannot say names.
I know,
nothing like that. There's no way.
But I'm talking to the audience right now. I'm not talking.
Oh,
to you.
okay. Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm talking to the audience, sir. Simmer down over there, please. Get it together, dog.
I like that. Simmer down.
When Bill's evidence comes to the table, huh?
When you get on the stand and they say, "Hey, bro, this dude killed this dude for the gang," I mean, so you get on stand and you say, "Nah, fuck that. He didn't kill for the gang." You know what I mean? He had a problem with the female. I seen his Instagram post. I know what's going on. I mean, what exactly are you doing, and how is the research coming? I mean, like, how do you present that? I'm unfamiliar with that. So I'd like you to explain that to me a little bit.
No, sure. This really comes, I would say, more from evidence of the case rather than necessarily research. Well, I mean, research kind of plays a part in it a little bit. So what you would have, like, okay, so at the direction of, that's part of the law, right? And so you're saying, all right, did this guy in a gang shoot this other guy, at the direction of the gang? It's like, well, where is the evidence? Excuse me. So it's like, where in the discovery, which is kind of like, this is the kind of, you guys know what discovery is? It's like, this is the aspect of the
You're
case.
talking about the channel, right?
Well, no, like all the facts of the case, like this is the police
bro.
report, the witnesses, all that type of stuff. So if there's something in the discovery that says, yeah, it's clear that like whatever, this gang member told that gang member to shoot him, then they've got evidence at the direction of. But so that's what I'm saying. It's like, where is the evidence doing this? Okay, so give me an example. You can say in association with a gang. So how does that, like, what would be evidence that an individual is committing a crime in association with a gang? Let's say that in the middle of it, like, they're just shouting out the name of the gang, like, this is on you, like, fuck your set, like, this is on me, bang, 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 and shout out the name of their gang. 100%. You're like, yeah, okay, that's a gang-related thing. I can't do anything about that, yeah? But if no one, the witnesses, hear anybody doing that, then it's like, okay, well, that's not necessarily gang related. So, and for the benefit of too, okay, so like, what do you mean? And this is where they throw like these economic fences on it too. So again, a robbery, you're like, okay, how does this robbery economically benefit the gang? How does this guy selling a quarter of meth benefit the gang? It's kind of difficult when you break it down to how much all these things are actually worth, and then kind of say to the jury, is that what he's gonna do? Is he gonna take $100 and say, and divvy it up? So it's like, it's a lack of what you're saying is evidence. Okay, so point by point by point, the evidence does not suggest this is done based on A, B, and C.
Okay, and that's just from research that's done.
No.
But I have been in situations where an 8-ball of methamphetamine would most definitely benefit the gang this particular weekend in regards to what we got going on.
Well, yeah, that's right. That absolutely, but that's kind of and that's kind of what you would say. You're like going, look, man. These guys are not selling this. They are burning through it. So you got a group of guys with an 8-ball, 100%. They're like, oh my God, they're having a great weekend. Yeah, please, maybe another one of these as well. Oh yeah, let me kind of get this going, yeah. So like, they're gonna kind of do a little, what do they call it, that group sex thing? I can't remember what it was called, but like, yeah, they're doing that. They're all tweaked out. There's like 4 or 5 of them.
Are you talking about pulling a train, sir?
Thank you. They called it.
You calling that, talking about the Amtrak?
Yeah, it was that. They called it something else as well. I can't remember what it was.
The Greyhound bus?
Is that what they call it?
That was called something else as well.
Called Greyhounding?
So, thank you very much.
Greyhounding?
You want one of these?
Yeah, please. Thank you.
I just want to tell you this right now.
Yeah, go on.
I love you, brother.
Oh, well, thank you. It shows.
No, dude, you are a fucking, like, you are just a fucking, like, dude, you are a fucking, like, a spunky ass dude that you just, like, you're deflecting and you're bobbing and you're weaving and you're hitting back still, you know what I mean? And I really appreciate that, and I really respect that, and just let you know that everybody in this room right here is on your team, brother. They're here with you. Nobody is against you. I'm giving you a little pushback on certain things, brother, but that's just what I do. And that's what I feel like in certain things. I'm not doing it on purpose, but sometimes you're saying something that I might, have a different...
I just learned something. It's because he can't see past the hood.
And
oh my God, we just learned...
I understand the hood, sir. I understand the hood. It's not seeing past it because I have gotten past the hood. but I understand it, and I have an empathy within myself for cats that are still going through what I once upon a time went through, because that shit is pain. That shit hurts, man, and that shit's just like you don't feel that you're worthy enough, bro, to be something better than what you're doing right now, hanging on the corner doing that dumb little dance. We see it, dog. That shit's stupid, dog. I mean, you got to feel worthy, man, and that's why I do this right here. To have it, share stories, have people like you on, and just to try to figure this out of can we feel worthy to do better than our environment.
You know, I'll give you one thing that's important to me is to be accurate to the people out there of what exactly it is that I'm saying and what it is that I'm not saying. So yeah, all good. So yeah.
So you get back to the stand. You get on the stand and they say, "Hey, we need an expert." You said that you go through I mean, would that make you kind of biased if you actually read the transcripts of the case? Would that make you biased of what's going on, or opposed to just on the fly? They're gonna, what you not on the fly, but you know what you need to go and talk about. You don't know nothing about the case, and you just present your research, opposed to seeing the transcripts and then presenting your research. That might make you biased.
Oh, no. Okay, I see what you're saying here. Now, there are times when I have simply been asked to opine, right, to give my opinion about like gang members. So would you like an example on that?
100%.
Okay, but also there's times when they're saying it's gang related, and I, in order to find out, need to read the discovery. If I don't read what the police report says, what the witness statements is, what maybe the preliminary transcript is, then I'm going in blind, and that's not good for the client. The client is the dude who committed the crime. You know what I'm saying? So you want to go in there the more is better in terms of discovery, in terms of accurately telling them, because they're going to say, did you read the kind of discovery? What did you read? Because if not, how do you know about this case? So it's not about bias at all. It's about being informed, so then in order to do your job to kind of help the defense in that case, because I'm always called on the defense, right?
You're called on the defense because it's a chess match.
Okay, yeah, no, that's another point, but it's a very adversarial system, and you are 100% correct. We are taught, innocent until proven guilty until you start working in the system, and it's not like that at all. I mean, they're pretty much assumed guilty. You got to work your way out of it and essentially prove a negative. Now, kind of back to your other point about bias, there are times when I am simply called up. Hey, I'll give you an example, one of the more recent ones here in Long Beach. It was, do gang members, when they're in prison, for instance, or in jail, would they have a reason to lie about their involvement in violent offenses such as homicide? And I'm like, oh yeah, 100% they could do that. They could kind of try to make themselves look tougher, or have like an incentive to not be 100% truthful, and simply to kind of give an impression like, of protection. Don't mess with me, I'm a tough guy. So you take my meaning there. So, and again, that is something that I've come across in my work, come across in research previously. So I have been called to testify just on that point. I didn't read any discovery or read something very minimal, and it was like, do they do this, yes or no? And I was like, yeah, that happens.
This is super random, bro. But I'm a super random person, bro. Alec Murdaugh. Bro, I was Alec Murdaugh. You're not familiar with that case? Pass on to that.
I don't know. I mean,
it was many. Crazy case. Anyways, we'll move forward from that. So moving forward, and now we have an understanding of what is asked of you when it comes to these cases, when you're asked to get on stand and share your expert testimony or your expert analysis on the situation of whatever the team, the defense is asking, or vice versa, right?
Sure. Do you want to hear some crazy homicide stories?
Dude, shoot it.
Okay.
Let's go.
Here's what's up. All right, so I'm not going to mention the name of the gang.
Why not?
Because to be honest, it's more of a level of protection against everyone involved in the case. Okay. So I don't want to disrespect the victims of the family or anything like that, and I don't want to just blow anybody up, if that makes sense. But I can tell you the story about some of the things that I get and how crazy just how random they are. So okay. My dude is like the client, the dude I'm representing, or helping out. He had been tweaking 2-3 days. He's up on meth. He's got a little combination of meth, hair, whiskey.
Speedball.
No, I didn't mean heroin. Sorry. He's doing meth. He's smoking a little weed, and he's drinking whiskey. Is what I'm trying to say. Not heroin. And again, he's like chilling at like some car wash or something like that. I'm not exactly sure where he is. And he's just like absolutely out of his mind. He thinks he sees like the former like President Reagan or something like that. He's like, oh, hello, sir. You know, how you doing? I'm getting just really tweaking, you know. What he does, you know, he's got to get his shirt off. He's just kind of sitting there. You know, I'm just like, what the hell are you? Like in the car wash guy with his shirt off. But what he's got as well on the kind of table right there, he's got his shirt off. He's got his little kind of thing. It's like a little pipe, little thing of whiskey. And he's got his burner right there, some 9mm, and with an extra clip, just sitting right there. And you know, he's like going up to people. He thinks like he sees like the former president. Okay, so what happens then is this gang member shows up, right? And this gang member's like you guys, just totally tatted up. It's clear what gang he's in, 100%. So he goes up to the guy and he's all, hey, you know, let me join your gang. I want to be in. You know, just out of his mind. You know, and this is like, you know, it's like a white dude, and the dude's all like, you know, fuck off. You know, get that, you know, fuck you, dude. You know, like Latino gang, right? And then so my guy's all, he's okay. He's already got his shirt off, right? And so what he does is he's all, okay, the guy, he probably thinks I'm wearing a wire. So he's like, okay, so let me do this. So what he does is he takes his pants down, right? He drops his drawers right down by his ankle, right? And like homie is like sitting like over here, right? And so he goes up to him like right there. He's like, look, dude, I'm not wearing a wire. Like, let me join your gang. Like, this dude's junk is like right in his face, right? And so he just goes like, you know, fuck off, you know, get the fuck away from me, right? You know, just like, you know, leave and all this stuff. And so, okay, my guy pulls up his pants, right? Goes over to the table, right? Picks up that burner, right? And then walks up to the dude, right? And then puts it at his head. And he goes, let me join your gang. And the dude's all, go ahead, pull the trigger. Homie obliges. Boom, nails him that, stands over him. Bam, 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 bam. Goes back over to the table, pops in the fresh clip, goes over there, bam, 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 bam. 19 bullets, homeboy's gone. Throws the gun out and like shouts out like some crazy random name in the front of the street.
Wow.
So
Jesus lives.
Right. Just like something. Just like, you know, just like, again, I'm being a bit careful about what I'm saying. So, okay, now what happens? He's down there at the detective, right? Detective's interviewing him. He's still tweaking. He is just out of his mind. The detective's all, are you in a gang? He's all, I'm in all of them. Yep, I'm in every single gang. I'm just like, just going off. And he's and before and after he says he's in a gang, he says some shit like, there's this massive battle between good and evil coming, and like I know about it because I have transistors in my teeth, and the angels are talking to me through the transistors. And the detective's all, okay, that's, you know, just like this, yep. So
methamphetamine.
Right, 100%. I mean, you guys, I'm sure, you know, a lot of us in Southern California know about, you know, about that. I mean, just about something, you know, it's a thing down here. Now, so the point that he got charged with a gang enhancement because he said while he was tweaking, you know, that he was in a gang, like all of them, you know. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, dude. He was saying that like the massive battle between good and evil and the angels and the transistors in his teeth. You didn't hear that or take that into consideration. They're just like, you know, nothing to see here. So yeah, we won that fight, you know. But it's like, dude went down like 30 years or something like that to life, you know. It's
I mean, did he get? And that's hold on. So the information that you put forward to me, if I was a sociologist or I was a criminologist, and this is the information that was put forward to me, then I understand, bro, that this dude needs to be. And he needs serious mental help. So is serious mental help giving him 30 years in prison and throwing him on a fucking main line? Probably not. But we understand the way the system works. It's $1 billion corporation, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, now you're touching on another issue.
Yeah, I know, and I'm not trying to do that,
No, but I'm saying with mental health, and it's very important. I think.
That
so
one.
If I just to chime in here, is that what we do about mental health is incredibly poor in America. We essentially began to close mental health asylums beginning in the Carter administration in the 70s and continued that full on in the 80s. We essentially opened up the asylums and let crazy people out on the street. And excuse me, I don't mean to be pejorative and say crazy people, but
that's right, bro.
So your best, you know, honestly, like, the thing about the criminal justice system is that if you are arrested, you have a chance of being detected for either substance abuse or some kind of mental health. Maybe it'll happen. So, but the idea that something is going to be like, you're going to be like treated, you know, or it's going to be a proper diagnosis, oh my God, no, I mean, it's terrible. We do not do anything for people with drugs and or mental health. Nothing proper at all. And yeah, it's a shame. So you are correct about that all day long.
I mean, do you deal, well, we're not going to talk about your personal stuff, but I'll talk about my personal stuff. So And probably your analyzation after today is you're probably saying, hey, Lucky, you're not done yet. I've been working on my mental health, brother, from the trauma, from the drugs, from doing time. And I believe that I will be working on it to the day that I die. But the first step is to make sure that you're working on it if you're dealing with some type of mental health. But you don't have to be from the streets, done prison, commit crimes to deal with mental health. I mean, it's been shunned upon, I believe. I might be saying the wrong word, but at one point in time, like if you had anything mental going on with you in the regular world, right? And then you know something, you're fucked up, But we all deal with it to one extent or another, and I don't have a problem talking about it because I think it's important that guys hear me right here on the podcast and say, hey, if you're feeling a certain way, get yourself some help. I mean, how do you, and this is probably outside of your field, but how do you feel about like pharmaceuticals? Are people getting like some type of medication to help them with their mental health?
Oh, that's a very good question. It's a double-edged sword. Benzodiazepines, I think, are incredibly dangerous. Things like sleeping aids, anti-anxiety medications, all of those. But I do know that it does help people out, and so to that extent, I would say if anything is helping people, then that's wonderful. But man, I would really what's an alternative for that besides taking the drug? Because I personally sometimes I can't stop my mind from moving at nighttime, and I need to shut it down, and I got a prescription, bro. Okay. I have a prescription that I take that shuts my shit down, You asking me what I would suggest?
Yeah, outside of that, the natural, holistic way.
Marijuana. 100%. Like if you got like sleeping issues, anxiety issues, I would recommend marijuana over like anti-anxiety medications just because due to the side effects. Honestly, and I would say that those things can change you, like who you are. I've talked to people who make what's called SSRIs, like selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, and they wouldn't use them. The whole, benzodiazepine thing is, anywho. So, oddly enough, if someone had like serious anxiety or serious depression or things like PTSD, I would recommend, this might be a bit controversial, but things like psilocybin, ketamine, other types of MDMA, like the psychedelics.
Mushrooms, baby. Let's go.
Psilocybin, right. This is, there has been an organization that I've been following since 1993. They're called MAPS. It's the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies. You had to read about those dudes in High Times back then in 93, and now they're in the Atlantic. These guys are running proper systems. So we have come a long way in, I would say, not only using like drugs to help people get off drugs, because a lot of these things too help people with like heroin, meth, crack addiction, but also these things that are very debilitating to average Americans, just anxiety, stress, depression. And I'll tell you something as well about the hood, yeah? And I God bless individuals who live this life, is that violence impacts you, okay? I've talked to a lot of gang members and I've asked them this question. How likely do you think you're gonna die like from violently? They're like, before I can answer, they're like, oh yeah, no, this is gonna, I'm not, it's just my research, okay?
Go ahead,
But
brother.
it's like, that's not something that your average everyday person thinks is gonna happen, is they're going to die violently. A lot of young gang members don't think they're gonna live that long. They think that this is all they have. If they see it past 25, God knows. And so they're living their entire lives up to that, using a lot of drugs, engaging in risky sex. And that in turn produces the kind of kids who are gonna grow up and experience the same things these guys do. So what I would say, the thing is like these dudes, okay, are super hard. They've been shot at, they might be killers, they've been around violence, they might see dead bodies, and it's not people dying of natural causes. It's horrible violence. So what I'm saying is like, what is the impact of that kind of violence on their lives? Mental health is something they can't talk about. They can't say to somebody, hey, I'm feeling a little depressed, because they'll get called up about their masculinity. But it is a very, very serious concern in the, the Black hood, Latino hood, just in general, about what it is like, what it's like to live in a community. Like, you're not even gang, you're not even crime, you're just an average everyday dude. What's it like? You hear the sirens, you hear people fighting, people screaming, gunshots, the police copter. What is that like? The overall impact on your life, it is serious.
It's horrible, bro.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you this. There's been a lot of points in my life where I was arrested already, and the sirens would not turn off in my head. They would not turn off in my head. And that bugged the shit out of me. And so what would be your take on that? That when obviously it's PTSD, it's trauma, right? Forever running from them sirens. When you hear them sirens, it's not them singing happy birthday to you. It means run for your life. If not, you're gonna end up in that fucking box. But I mean.
So part of the work that I did, I'm sorry to cut you off, it's asking like young people in gangs about those things, like saying, how do you feel? Like, tell me, what do you about your day? Tell me, is there like, what do you experience on a day-to-day? And yeah, it's like collectively horrific. So the idea that these guys, I mean, again, we do a very poor job in society kind of with mental health, depression, anxiety, PTSD, and all kinds of things. What we do amongst the most marginalized in society, those who, involved in crime, people getting out of prison, people in gangs, even less so. So, I mean, I cannot imagine, what that is like on a day-to-day. And so when people make it out of that, it's just like, man, birthday party, balloons, let's celebrate, dude. You have just radically increased your life chances. Let's kind of work on that. Let's keep that up.
And we've had a lot of people that have made it out of that have been on Hoodstock's podcast. And you know what? Some people trip on me. So like, why are you celebrating him? Lucky, he killed somebody when he was 17 years old. Well, this man is in his early 40s, late 30s, and he's not the same person. To me, he's not the same person, and he should be celebrated, from not, I mean, you can, it's so tricky, bro. It's a conundrum almost, I'm celebrating somebody that once upon a time killed somebody. But I'm not celebrating that. I'm celebrating who the man is now and what he's trying to be in the direction that he's going.
There's another thing I don't think they tell people about what it's like to shoot and kill somebody, right? That will impact you the rest of your life. When you take a life, no matter what the circumstances, you're going to have a difficult time. Like seeing ghost type of shit. Like you are going like, yeah, man. So, and I think there's a message that's kind of missed on that. There's more of this thing about this demeanor of it being tough. It's not the outcomes of the violence. Yeah, and that's another thing. Talking to these guys, some of them, they don't. The ones that survive, the ones that survive like shootings or stabbings and all the like, horrible type of beatings. Yeah, man, they're going to be carrying scars with them, both inside and outside, for the rest of their lives. So yeah, it's like when I work in the intervention agency, I talk about like the guys being in the fire. You got to pull them out of the fire. Kind of dust them off. Like, hey, dude, you've been living this kind of life where, you could be gone like that. I'm saying congratulations. Stop. Just put those flames out. Stop doing it. Get you back in. To be more productive, because that energy that dude produces helps not only him but his community. Now, if all kinds of dudes were making that same kind of move, that kind of entire community benefits. So,
I mean, we're doing this work right here. Does it pull you closer to the individual that has been through these things, or does it push you further away from the individual? I mean, do you have a soft heart to these individuals that have, maybe you've had a privileged life, or maybe you've had responsible parents that were able to lead you in the right direction, opposed to these individuals? I mean, how does it affect you personally, if I'm okay to ask that?
Well, sure. I would say that there's a lot of people out there that have had really good parents and really good lives that aren't doing anything like this work at all. So I don't know if that's not necessarily, I would say, something to do with me personally, but I would say that as a researcher, at one point, to me, you gotta at one point, when you stop doing research and you're actually doing something based on your research, like, are you actually trying to help? So so if you were to ask me right now, if some dude was in a gang, like now he said, hey, Bill, I want to get out of a gang, I could absolutely show him where to go. And it's not something that you've heard of before, but I know what I would say that dude would have a very good chance of meeting like-minded people and kind of being on the right track, getting kind of career advice, career readiness, even basic things, Social Security, driver's license, all of this stuff. These guys don't even know, sometimes don't even know about that stuff, how to get all of that stuff. So,
and that's a connection for some people. That's like, some people only have a drug connect. They don't have the fucking connect to better their life, or for someone to show them, saying, hey, bro, there's these different programs it could potentially help you. Or maybe if you smoke the weed and you get off these fucking pharmaceuticals, dog. You know what I mean? Like, some people have a lack of direction, and they're forever never gonna change their ways.
All right, and to answer your question, it's not necessarily that I'm kind of soft on the individuals. It's more like the organizations that the individuals will work with. So if you take my meaning, the organizations will always be there. The individuals going through gangs or drugs will also, it's kind of just, the next one, so to speak. So I don't necessarily get any kind of, like, I would say close to individual, like people, gang members or drug users or clients like that. But it's more the programs. Like, I know those guys who work there, and I would absolutely, I do an internship with them. I mean, the kind of money where my mouth is. I have my students going down there helping them. I am like on call for their help. I'm I have a forthcoming publication on there, what they do. So yeah.
Have you? If I remember correctly, you've written some books?
Oh yeah. No, I've got like 36 publications. Like,
where can people find these publications, and what are they about?
Like Amazon. Like if you type in my name, Bill Sanders, gangs, in a search engine, you'll see all kinds of publications. Like I got a textbook called Gangs on Amazon. Also too, I don't like get money off of this stuff. Are you kidding? Like, I mean, I get like $1 a book or something. Dude,
because the publisher fees and everything.
I mean, it's not like this whole thing. You're like, oh, you write books, you must be a millionaire. It's like, no, dude. Like academic books you don't earn money at all. I mean, maybe God bless you, write a textbook, and there's some dudes out there that are doing that, but that's not me. So,
well, you're going to see your numbers go up after this podcast.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it wouldn't
$5.
It wouldn't matter like at all. I'm like, oh wow, go out this whole got another fish taco I can buy. Right, so wonderful, wonderful. That's not what it's about. Like I wouldn't be like advertising my wares, so to speak, to go buy
and I kind of understand what you're saying. You're saying you don't do it for the money.
No. There's no money in this stuff. Like what it is I'm a professor. There's things that I think, at least as far as I thought you're supposed to do as a professor, is do research, get involved in the community. And so it turns out that that's not what you have to do or supposed to do, but that's what I think is right, and that's what I do.
Absolutely, and thank you for that, brother. Being a professor, you teach at a college, and you are a professor that teaches sociology?
Criminal justice.
Criminal justice. So what comes with criminal justice, and the individuals that are taking this class, are they becoming future lawyers, maybe DA, so on and so forth?
A good question. A lot of my students, we are one of the largest departments on campus, and have been since I've started there. Criminal justice is very, very popular. We attribute, a lot of us attribute that to what's called the CSI effect, where, since the turn of the century, they've been watching CSI, Miami, whatever, NCIS, this whole idea that you can solve the crime by the microscope or whatever. It's just nonsense. None of that stuff works. It's just total BS. Forensic science is a bit of an oxymoron. Not really a science. I mean, chemistry, biology, those are sciences within there, but it's something used to fool the jury type of thing. Like, I'm a forensic, this is what's up, and anyways. So we don't. There's guys that come in that want to do that stuff. So it's kind of like they realize that that's not. It requires much more it's much more difficult to do that. Like, you got to go be a bio major or a chemistry major. So
I mean, they could say the same thing about you, saying you a gang expert and you standing on stand. You know what I mean? You sitting on stand talking about your gang expert shit. They're like, fucking this dude. I seen him at the beach fucking last week,
yeah,
dog.
You know what I'm saying? That's right. That's exactly right.
It's a two-way street, though, right?
Damn right. You see me working, you see me having fun, and you know what I'm saying? Don't hate. I would say this. Number one.
I didn't want to tell you that, bro, but I was like, let me just.
No. I'll tell you
one more jab. You know what I mean?
Number one, go get your surfboard. Number two, go get your degree and expertise. We'll see you in both fields.
Why don't you start a program that teaches less fortunate individuals, adolescents, how to surf, bro? That would probably be an amazing thing to get them out the neighborhood and put them on the beach, baby.
Why don't you teach people how to be a good interviewer?
Fuck you, Loki!
Touche, sir. Touche. I appreciate that. I'm not here for being a good interviewer, sir.
I didn't spend all my time in the university, okay? So, anyways.
Fist bump, baby. Fist bump, baby. And so, I like, there's more things we can talk about, and you know what more we can talk about. It's criminology, sociologist. I mean, wow, that is just something that's been studied for freaking hundreds of years. You got Karl Marx, you got the Max Weber, you got all kinds of different people that have attacked it from different ways, from capitalism, just trying to understand the social dynamics of why maybe a white person is going to make it to this level and a black person or a Latino may not. I mean, it is just such a freaking wide open space of research and studying. I mean, with that said, I mean, like, besides the criminology, the sociology, I mean, it goes hand in hand, correct?
Yeah, no. Sociology would be, like, I would say, the father, or the larger discipline from which criminology and criminal justice kind of formed. Yes, that is 100% correct. And really quick, to answer your previous question, a lot of our guys also will be police officers or social workers, some correctional officers. Very few will be lawyers. I'm not even 1 in 10. So, and the ones that want to be lawyers, I would say, would be split evenly between prosecution and defense. A lot of our guys too, I would say, they want to be police officers when they come in, but not all of them when they leave. So the kind of what I would say is they go through our program and they kind of learn what they want to do. A lot of our guys want to do, like, quote unquote work with children. So it's something that that's a very broad field as well too. Might be criminal justice and social work might be apt for that. So now you talked about, like, the field overall, and the question was getting at like what are some of the reasons kind of behind. Let me back up a little bit. The field of criminology, saying, like, why do people commit crime, is not that old. It's maybe like 150 years old. Prior to this, the dominant theory of why people committed crime was what's called the demonic perspective. They were, like, evil, or, like, Satan was in them. Like, so up until about, like, 1870, 75, right around then, the first publication, which was like, this is why, like, a scientific reason. So have you ever heard the expression, like, I'm going to beat the hell out of you? Like, that's actually what they did. They thought the hell was in somebody. It's like, I'm going to bang, 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 or beat the devil out of somebody. That was legit. They were really trying to do that.
Wow.
So the point of it is there was no science. It was like, you're possessed, you're a burglar or a criminal because Satan got in you, type of thing. So
you're talking about the study of just in general of why people do what they do in a criminal act.
Yes.
Of how long they've been studying. They've only been studying for 100 years?
I would about 150. Like, so this 1875, 76. So I want to say the first publication that was that was kind of, I would say, the non-religious,
besides the Bible.
Satan, right? Satan did it. So yeah,
it's like 147 or something.
What happened is that theory was really kind of more of a biological based one, meaning that the belief was that criminals were genetic throwbacks. So it was all based on how they looked. So there was like, oh, look at these kind of criminals. So there was like these types of traits that so-called criminals had. That theory was popular for a time, and it actually served in a roundabout way to kind of propel certain racist ideas that people were born more superior than others. And so that whole trope still continues today, yeah? But the whole idea was this. So, like, if you had pictures of people who were criminals, well, then you could easily spot the criminals from the non-criminals by looking at a bunch of photos of them, yeah? And that's where the theory was totally undone. Scientists kind of put up, like, I don't know, dozens of photos, different races, ages, all that stuff. It was like, and they say, okay, well, if criminals are people that you can kind of tell by their physical features, who are the criminals and who are not? And of course, they totally got it wrong. There was just absolutely nothing like that. And so it's pretty much put that one to bed, theoretically at least, from empirical evidence, that people are kind of like genetic throwbacks or born criminals. Now, there is certain things, kind of more modern kind of biological approaches. Look at people born with certain types of genes that might predispose them to things like violence. It's called like the MAOA or version of that. I'm not exactly sure this type of gene that people can be born with. So if they're born with that, they might be more predisposed to violence. But other research on that gene also kind of indicates that social impacts are just as important to explain. So there's that. I talked about earlier about people being products of their environment, right? And so that's kind of a lot of what's called positivism, whereby, if these individuals hadn't experienced these certain situations, they wouldn't have been involved in gangs or crimes or all of that. So one of the earlier ones is called social disorganization. And it looks at looking at earlier, like Chicago and like other parts of older America, where you had a lot of rapid change. Industrialization was coming, you had changes in the way people lived. So this theory kind of continues, like even in modern times, where you're looking at like the extent of poverty, you're looking at the extent that there's what's called like homogeneity between like either ethnicities or just like a similarity amongst the people who live there, whether or not the population is stable or whether or not it's increasing rapid growth. And here's another thing too, and I'd like to ask you guys all around in this room, is that the extent that people, they know their neighbors and talk to them. So like I've lived in hoods before, like part of the research, where it's like the dude across the street won't even look at you. Like there's absolutely no communication, no kind of like connectedness, no social fabric where people are like, hey, there's a problem, let's get together and solve this. There's kind of like all individual. So those are kind of what you'd call like social disorganization and collective efficacy, a theory that looks at conditions of the environment or the way neighbors.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's best to keep quiet. Sometimes it's best. I mean, in a suburbia neighborhood, you're gonna be like, "Hey, what up, Casey? How you doing?" Why? Because we're doing good and we're happy.
No, right. But imagine that there's some dude like who's shooting up in front of your house the whole time, right? And
that's a problem.
Right, that is a problem, right? But let's say that you are the only one that thinks that's a problem, and you don't talk to your neighbor, and whether your neighbor does think it's a problem, you just don't even know.
Well, sometimes in a neighborhood like that, bro, you depending on the individual, there's certain cats that are saying, hey, you know what? The non-combative cats, right? The ones that aren't going to punch you back, they're not going to say nothing. But the ones that are going to punch you back, they're going to be like, hey, dog, get the fuck off my fucking shit, dog. My kids are coming in here right now, dog.
Well, so yeah, imagine if everyone...
Punch back.
Right, no, if everyone in the community had that same kind of feeling, you would not see that dude shooting up over there. So the point of the theory it talks about is that these aspects of the community and the way it is kind of developed can help determine whether or not crime is there. So even you can have poor areas where there's a tight connection between community members, where they really care and want to do best for their community, right? So those are things, again, theoretically, theories that really, not that I developed, but theories that
This fucking guy.
Okay. Now, there's something.
You are a dick.
Yes.
You are a dick. You're a dick, right?
There you go, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
You can do better than
I
dick.
love you. Not your dick, though. I love you, but not your dick. Okay. But you're a dick.
Thank you. Another thing you mentioned is about the family. Now, one of the what's called the general theory of crimes, also it's called control theory, and it's called the general theory of crime more or less because it helps explain a large variance of crime, and that's when people get involved in gangs or drugs or crime because something is going on with their family. There's a lack of affection, there's a lack of discipline, there's a lack of supervision. ¿Dónde está mi hijo? Where is my son? Type of thing. All of those kind of contribute to what's called low self-control. Individual who has issue with his parents regarding supervision, discipline, and affection can be like maybe someone to act more physical as opposed to thinking things out. They can be angry. They can have like low empathy. They can like be like more likely to engage in sensation-seeking behavior. If someone says, hey, you want to go throw rocks with the other gang members, they're like, yeah, let's go do that. They're not thinking before they act, type of thing. So those types of things, that low self-control, can trap an individual in kind of a life of crime. And again, it's not necessarily them, but it's their parenting, it's their upbringing.
But aren't all kids like that? Hey, let's go throw rocks. Fuck yeah, let's throw rocks. It's the innocence of the mind.
But I think sometimes, and then they learn though.
Yeah, and then you learn. I mean, if you're throwing rocks at 32 years old.
I think the throwing rock thing is the wrong thing to focus on.
Because I've done it as a kid, throwing rocks at cars until that person comes out, and then you're in trouble. And then I've never thrown rocks at cars that are driving by ever again.
You shouldn't, sir. What kind of shit is that?
Well, because it was a non-thinking. Let's go do it.
I get it. But, I understand. I understand what he's saying, and I'm not trying to throw you off. And it was a perfect analogy, sir. It was a perfect analogy, and don't let me fuck you up, dog. You know what I mean? You are the doctor. I am this fucking guy right here that thinks he knows what the fuck he's talking about, which I do in my sense, of where I come from. But and I respect you, brother. I respect what you do and how you do it. You know what I mean? But this is the point of having a conversation. You said, hey, I wish you'd give me a good interview. You know what I mean? Like, dog, this is my good interview. Spencer, you know what I mean?
Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
Have you ever taken a class on criminal justice? Anything? Gangs, a class on drugs, a class on white people commit crime, any of that stuff?
Would a class not consist of doing the time, fighting the cases?
Because what I'm saying is I've never been a criminal, I've never been a gang member, I've never done crime. Okay. None of that stuff.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Okay, and in that respect, we have different things to bring to the table.
100%.
It's not necessarily I'm disagreeing with you because those are your experiences. How can I possibly disagree with them? But at the same time, as you just admitted, you've never been to one of these classes. Yeah, and I'm the one that not only teaches them, but develops them. So we have different takes on a very important subject that's really out to help people get where they need to go.
Absolutely.
So rock and roll.
Absolutely.
So why do people commit crimes continuously? Based on...
That's a good question. First of all, like, what you need to know, like, most people do what's called age out of crime. All right, it's a phenomenon that's seen in America, that over time, and even in different countries. And what I mean by that is that their most crime kind of prone years are when they're about like 16, 17 years old. Right around that time, crime in their lives just absolutely goes down. Oh. Okay, so it's kind of like what happens. What happens to people, young people, when they become that age, and why does crime go down, right? You know what's interesting as well? Like that same time that crime goes down in their lives, drug use goes up. Yeah? So a very interesting crime kind of connection. Everyone thinks this is her type. You're like, wait a minute, these guys' lives, their crime goes down, their drug use goes up. Why? How do you explain that? The reason why crime goes down in people's lives, most of it is because, like we said earlier, they take on like natural responsibilities as they get older. When you're a kid, you can't really get a job, you can't get married. Having the kids thing, well, you could do that. But, so as you get married, have kids, get a job, you slowly take on adult responsibilities and peel away from crime. It's called aging out. There's nothing, people age out of crime, they age out of gangs. Yeah. Drug use is different though too.
Aging out, growing up.
Well, that's just it. Yeah. You've completed growing up. You're done. Yeah. You're an adult.
What year did you age out? Lucky we could say.
I aged out. I started aging out around 37. I'm 46 right now.
Good, man. Congratulations. That's awesome.
I started aging out around, I started thinking about stuff like around 34, 35. And then I was in prison, and my little sister died of cancer. And it made me think about like life, a whole different perspective. I was just like, man, she was a good girl, dog. She wasn't doing what I was doing. And at the time I prayed to God, we turned to God, right? Drug addicts and gang members, we turn to God at times because we're just at the rock bottom. When you're in the rock bottom, you turn to God. It's unfortunate to say, but it's the truth sometimes for some individuals. And I'll speak on myself, But I said, God, don't take her, take me. I'm a fucking piece of shit, man. I fucking got kids, I ain't taking care of them. I'm fucking thug, I'm a fucking dirtbag, Take me instead, let her. I got kids, but they're gonna figure it out just like they've done already. But she's got kids that depend on her every fucking day, that she's been there since fucking birth. God, take me instead, and let her live her life, and if we can have it like that sometimes, maybe there would be a lot more people, bad people that wouldn't be in this position. There'd be more good people that survived these cancers and whatnot. But that was my aging out. That was my growing up. I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna get out. Fuck, I gotta do something with myself, and the aging out was me trying to not kick drugs, but kick the lifestyle. The lifestyle, the bitches, the doing nothing, doing that stupid dance in the fucking alley, the hot Cheetos, It was the lifestyle, fucking bitches, selling drugs, towing guns, being the big dog on the streets. And now, and that's hard because as a dude that was you something right here in this fucking little alley, this 2-block radius, but now in the real world, homie, you a peon, bro. You ain't shit. Sweep that floor, shut your ass up, and you getting talked to by dudes that fucking ride surfboards, bro.
Or look like me.
And what's that? And how's that gonna make you feel?
Yeah, it sucks for a dude that feels like, oh shit, my dick is bigger than anybody, until you walk butt naked in a motherfucking LA Fitness gym, dog, and you buff with a little dick, dog, and they laughing at you.
That's gonna keep you in that lifestyle. I'll be like, I'll be serving you and your little dick, keep it up.
Little dick!
Whatever, dude.
You ain't touching this sand.
Hey, and really quick, those flaming hot Cheetos will kill you just as fast as gang membership, okay?
Dude, they light them on fire, bro. They light on fire.
That's what I'm telling you. I don't know what they put in that stuff. My
What's
nephew
a good diet?
Can't get enough of that.
What's a good diet?
Oh, dude, all
keto? Do you think keto's a good diet?
No, dude, all vegetable, vegan diet, that's what's a good diet, dude. And also, you look really good for 46. This gang membership stuff, like criminal, they look like this. It ages that
Come on, baby.
Like, dude.
46, homie.
Oh, my God. Like,
46, dog.
All
I can still get your baby mama, homie. Don't make me peel the shirt off, dog.
Peel the shirt off. Peel it off.
Sorry about that. Drugs, methamphetamine used to make me jack off a million times an hour.
So, what have you done any research on methamphetamine specifically?
Again, what I would say is like a long line of my research is drugs, and a long line of my research is gang. If we talk about research on drugs and gangs, that's like chocolate and the peanut butter. I'm like, let's talk about it. Like, what's up? What do you want?
There's drugs and gangs right there. His name is Lucky Sun Tzu.
That guy over there.
Say this again.
Do you feel like you're an expert in gangs? Like, you're the
cream of the crop.
Okay, that's a very good question. Okay, now I would say this.
Hey, doctor, he just got out from doing 16 years in the feds, fresh out.
Congratulations.
16 years in the feds.
So, I mean, I've been a gang member all my life.
He's babysitting kids now.
Oh, congratulations.
When I hear no, like, be real. When I hear some of the stuff you're saying, it's like some of this shit is trash.
Rick, come over here.
But some of the shit is real, you know? Like, you are really saying some shit that resonates, but some shit is like, come on, bro.
It's inaccurate.
Yeah,
well, it's just because it's
he said it's inaccurate to us because in overall research, it says
Southern California. It's all Southern California.
I'm saying as far as my life, not as far as what you've heard or what you've been through.
But that's just it. You know? I would never say that your lives are inaccurate because they're your lives.
Of course.
But you're telling me that what I'm saying based on my is inaccurate, and I'm going like, you know what?
Nobody can ever tell you what you're saying is inaccurate. But what we're telling you is,
if I'm not mistaken,
sharing our experiences. Sharing our experiences.
I'm saying from what
we've experienced, and when we speak on us, we speak on a fucking like a very big majority of individuals.
Because I don't.
We do though. But check it out. If you are a Marine that has fought in Iraq, you can speak for a big majority of soldiers.
No, I'm not speaking for anybody but myself.
But do you hear what I'm saying?
To an extent,
because you don't like it.
I got because I got family in the military. That doesn't make sense to me. But we're not talking about my personal life. But that's another thing. So
and we have Marines on here all the time. Go ahead.
And I'm not. Yeah. Wonderful, okay, and
you're wonderful.
Thank you. I get that all the time. But like, it's like if I mentioned this to Casey from the get-go. If y'all want to argue with what I'm saying, I'm not here for that. That's wonderful. But no. But that arguing, saying like that doesn't resonate with me. Whatever, fine. I'm not. I think so.
Outside, check it out. So outside, Rick, hold on a second. So outside of criminology, sociologist, I mean, that is an amazing field, man. And I don't know how many times those books showed up at my door on a prison yard. There is a lot of dudes in the prison system that is studying to be a sociologist or just studying, getting himself put up on game on sociology.
Oh yeah, no. Everyone's a lawyer in MCJ. I get this shit all the time. Oh really? Oh, you're gonna do a habeas corpus? Where did you learn that? Dude, I mean, I get it. Because you know what's up? There's nothing to do in there. It's nothing. So I'm going to fight my ass off to kind of find something that kind of gone wrong with this case to get my ass out. Yeah, that happens all the time. You remember what I said earlier? It's never the wrong dude. That's not what happens. So if there's some technicality they can get off, awesome. Okay, and if they're going to make themselves lawyers,
you're saying the dude that they have there that's fighting the murder is never the wrong dude?
Never.
You're full of shit. You're full of shit, sir.
This is what I'm saying,
You're full of shit.
You're sitting here telling me that
you're full of shit. You put an exclamation mark on saying it's never the wrong dude. They got the right dude that killed that person. That's inaccurate, 100%.
Let me just say this.
I mean, based on speculation, yeah.
No,
maybe.
It's not speculation,
okay,
bro.
Then name a case.
I can name a bunch of cases, but I ain't gonna name no names, just like he ain't.
Okay, but that's
very specific, though.
I cannot talk about your experiences. I do not know them. All I'm saying here is in the couple hundred cases that I have been appointed for a homicide, I cannot recall one where it's like, oh no, it's not me. It's not. No. That
you're the worst expert that I ever want on a fucking case. They could be potentially helping me get off a fucking case when I'm fucking innocent.
You know, and then don't hire me because I'll say that to those guys. I'm like, dude, I ain't the one. Like, listen, you are.
I ain't the one. I'm gonna tell you. That's not a professional. That's not a professional fucking thing, bro. No. If you automatically think the dude is fucking guilty,
straight up professional. It's called integrity. You're not. Listen.
That's not integrity, bro. If you're just going on the facts and you're not letting the case play out and letting information or shit that's being put forward to help you fight the case. I mean, not everybody is fucking innocent.
Well, I mean, that's not what I said. Dude.
Yeah, no, that's not what you're arguing. Something. Look, I mean. Yeah.
Am I fucking up?
Yeah.
You're on Hoodstocks. Talk to us.
You know, it's like...
You're on Hoodstocks. Talk to us. Go ahead. Your live phone call. Go ahead.
All right, man. So, look, there's spiritual warfare going on, you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? West side up. Fuck the rest.
I mean, dude... I'm not sitting here going to be taking a bunch of phone calls from saying about
it's
gang
all
members
good.
saying
We're done. The podcast is over with. Thank you, Dr. Bill Sanders. We are done.